1-844-WINE-TCM.
I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Glad you could join us on TCM. Ahead tonight, a pair of comedies starring Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. Both actors burst onto the Hollywood scene in the 1950s and each continued working into the 21st century. However, other than their ages and their levels of stardom, their careers were quite different. But they came together twice to make memorable comedies, one of which is widely considered the best American comedy of all time. We have both of their films tonight, but we begin with their first pairing, that undisputed classic. From 1959, produced, co-written, and directed by Billy Wilder, Some Like It Hot. The year is 1929. Curtis and Lemmon play struggling musicians who witness the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre, where 7 members of Chicago's North Side Gang, Bugs Moran's outfit, were executed against a brick wall in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood. In the movie, Lemmon and Curtis, fearing for their lives, decide they need to get out of town. So naturally, they dress as women to disguise their identities. What else could they do? Since they're musicians, they then manage to join an all-girls band heading to Miami. And in the band is a woman named Sugar Kane, played by Marilyn Monroe. Originally, Billy Wilder considered Danny Kaye, Bob Hope, and Frank Sinatra for the lead roles, but they all fell through. Only then did Wilder choose to bring on Jack Lemmon, followed by Tony Curtis, who was the bigger star at the time. But the men financing the movie, the Mirish Company, produced with United Artists Releasing, wanted an even bigger name to justify spending the money. That is how box office juggernaut Marilyn Monroe entered the picture. Billy Wilder planned to shoot the film in color, but after seeing Curtis and Lemmon in their first makeup and wardrobe test, he decided the 2 stars looked more convincing as women in black and white. Marilyn Monroe, she looked convincing in both color and black and white. Here's the film. It's from 1959, also with George Raft and Pat O'Brien, plus Joe E. Brown, who teaches us that nobody's perfect. This is Some Like It Hot. Tony Curtis grew up in the Bronx. He was Bernie Schwartz then, born to Hungarian immigrant parents. He lived a less than idyllic childhood in an abusive home and an orphanage before joining a gang and becoming a petty criminal. After serving in World War II, Curtis studied acting in New York before he landed a contract at Universal in 1948. Jack Lemmon grew up in Massachusetts during a difficult childhood filled with illnesses and warring parents. He began acting at an early age, eventually attended Harvard. Lemmon served in the Navy, then started landing parts on Broadway, radio, and television before making his feature debut with Columbia in 1954. Tony Curtis knew early on that he and Jack Lemmon would work together perfectly after their first wardrobe fitting. Curtis said that Lemmon left the dressing room wearing his Ori Kelly dress as if he were a 20-cent tart. Curtis instinctively played his character as the opposite, channeling his own mother with a blend of Grace Kelly when he left the dressing room. The 2 actors bonded, even trying out their costumes in public together, which helped Lemmon gain confidence in his performance, and that, in turn, gave Curtis more freedom in his. Coming up, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis reunite for an adventure on wheels, The Great Race from 1965, next on TCM.
Next on TCM, The Great Race, then T-Men, and later, Scandal, the trial of Mary Astor. TCM withholds judgment tonight.